It was a cold late afternoon, somewhere on a country road outside Lyon. The sun was slowly setting, leaving behind a sky tinged with orange and violet. A light rain was beginning to fall, making the road slippery and the landscape even more melancholic. On the roadside, a car was stopped, hood raised, hazard lights flashing. Inside, a woman in her 40s, Elise, looked at her phone in despair. No more battery. No way to call a tow truck. Her face reflected immense fatigue, as if this mechanical problem were only one more burden on a long list of difficulties. Cars passed by, fast, sometimes splashing the bottom of her skirt. Nobody stopped. She was beginning to feel invisible, useless. Suddenly, an old white van stopped behind her car. A man got out, tall, in his 50s, dressed in a worn jacket and a wool cap. His name was Mark, delivery driver for 20 years. He knew these roads well. "Good evening, madam. Do you have trouble?" he asked in a deep but warm voice. Elise hesitated. She had always been told to be careful, but his sincere look inspired confidence. "Yes, the car no longer starts. And my phone is dead," she replied, almost ashamed. Mark approached the hood, glanced inside. His hands were calloused, but skillful. He began to check the battery cables. "You may just need a little boost. I have jumper cables in my van." He returned to his van, took his equipment, and came back with quiet assurance. While he connected the cables, Elise observed him. Each gesture seemed filled with life experience, with a rare patience. A few minutes later, the engine purred again. The car was running. Elise had tears in her eyes, not only from relief, but from emotion. In this world where everyone seemed in a hurry, absorbed by their own problems, someone had taken the time to stop. "I don't know how to thank you," she said in a trembling voice. Mark smiled. "You don't need to thank me. Today it's me who helps. Tomorrow it may be you who helps someone else. That's how it should work." These words resonated in her like a truth she had forgotten. All her stress, all her loneliness seemed lightened by this simple gesture of humanity. They stayed a moment longer to talk. Mark told her that he worked long hours to provide for the needs of his family, that he had learned, over the years, that helping others gave meaning to his daily life. Elise, for her part, explained that she was going through a difficult period. Her husband had just left her. She was raising her 2 children alone, and this car breakdown had been the last straw threatening to make everything overflow. Mark laid a caring hand on her shoulder. "Courage. You are stronger than you think. Sometimes, life sends us trials to remind us that we are not alone." That evening, Elise took the road again with a new energy. She repeated those words in her head like a mantra. She told herself that she must no longer let the indifferent looks of others make her doubt her worth, because a stranger had proved to her that humanity still existed there at the edge of a cold and dark road. The next morning, Elise woke up with a strange feeling. She thought back to that scene from the day before, the rain, the fear, the anxiety, then that smile, that reassuring voice, and above all that simple phrase that still resonated. "Today, it is me who helps. Tomorrow, it may be you." She wondered how many times she had crossed paths with people in difficulty without ever stopping, always too much in a hurry, too absorbed by her own worries. And if, in her turn, she decided to become that tomorrow Mark had spoken about? A few days later, the opportunity presented itself. Elise was driving her children to school when she noticed an old lady struggling to carry her grocery bags. Without thinking, she parked the car and offered her help. The old lady was first surprised, then moved. That simple gesture gave her new energy for the day. It was like a revelation for Elise. Kindness multiplies. What she had received at the side of the road, she could now pass on. Meanwhile, Mark, on his side, did not expect that this brief episode would change anything. For him, it was natural. Helping was part of his vision of the world. But one evening, as he was coming back from his delivery route, he received an unexpected message. Elise had managed to find his number thanks to the license plate of his van, which she had noted down by reflex. In her message, she wrote, "Thank you again for what you did the other evening. I have started helping others in turn. Your words accompany me every day. You gave me much more than a battery boost. You gave me back faith in humanity." Mark read the message several times. He, who often felt invisible in his job, like a cog among so many others, understood that sometimes a tiny gesture could have an immense echo. Months went by. Elise continued transforming her life. She decided to organize small acts of solidarity in her neighborhood. Clothing drives, homework help for children from struggling families, visits to isolated elderly people. She didn't have much money, but she had her time, her smile, and this new conviction that solidarity was contagious. Little by little, people around her changed their view of her. Those who had seen her as a fragile woman began to admire her strength. Her children, especially, were proud of their mother. They were learning, through her example, that true wealth is not measured by what one owns, but by what one gives. One winter evening, several months after their meeting, Elise and Mark ran into each other by chance in a bakery. "Oh, it's you," she said, smiling broadly. Mark had trouble recognizing her. She seemed different. Her eyes were shining, her smile radiant. She no longer looked like the exhausted woman he had found at the side of the road. "You look transformed," he remarked. Elise told him everything she had undertaken since that day. She spoke about the small victories, the encounters, the energy she had regained. Mark listened, impressed. "You see," he said softly, "I told you that you were stronger than you thought." Elise nodded, moved. "But it is thanks to you that I was able to discover it." They shook hands, and in that simple gesture, there was all the gratitude in the world. The moral of this story is that sometimes a simple stop at the side of the road can transform two lives. Mark did not only repair a car, he repaired a heart. And Elise, in turn, repaired a piece of the world around her. Because kindness is an invisible chain. One link calls another, and soon it becomes an immense force that spreads, changing looks, erasing loneliness, giving meaning to days. So, the next time you see someone in difficulty, remember this story. Remember that a gesture, even tiny, can trigger a silent revolution, and that sometimes helping someone is also helping yourself to become human again.